Alright, it's time to serve God, man, and country. Blasters players, almost and someone idea him media national. Any a chance say ya bomate Eddie a moon comono, ebersumo. Already my posted video, if I branch Thomas Partey, the future, our blasters, and in the career mono, medical posts that video no add the amount. One should be there, but one day, no her and nay first post in our honor. But in this particular video, Ibrahim and Sarah and your free couldnt moment akache. Yeria Abrante did Osman Ibrahim Abrante unimse Osia Kai Edma Brighton last season Okopo loan Edma final say asembi atimi atodwa ewo Abrante nakache Osia hwane di enkomo na Edna the Black Queens etimi epo game editia South Africa na after the full 90 minutes no na is South Africa for no arch Ghana etwa kamienu a yentimi antimu ba kokra na eno na won coach ene oba so no pa watimi abonkomo etimi edinkomo akra edefa Black Queens team no ho how ofa so ehu team no ene madam ne din ede Desiree Ellis wadi nkomo edefa Black Queens team no ho ye ba ne babedi enkomo ye wia ne a wrap it up edefa Partey ene ne court nsensem te sei Abrante ne de every news bia no na ese ne din ene namu a ye hwe ne de breaking news ahodo ne nyina no etimi ediama so ene din no boko aso mesre opa so abomade se obe subscribe obe like na ube pia share like ni de ya na ehia ye papa na afenso no watimi leave o message or comment section wo na enkomo no etimi aye kama fast forward yinramu na ye ni enkomo our day side na me chance ye diam de wuramu all Black Queens eno game a etimi etodwa na Black Queens ekodi ntwo our South Africa for ensem na after the game and South Africa coach Desiree Ellis wade enkomo akokotodwa na ne enkomo nyina ene say Black Queens team no omo ye good side na ono no ohwe team ni ye pa abra time no eya beso no on se team no ekeka omo ho de mu odin pa senya niema ene team ekoye Edma South Africa for na eya de senka Ghana ebetimi atete ka no na eniema etimi akonanim na Madam Desiree Ellis edin come on say take nothing away from Ghana. They are really good side. They had 15 minutes spell that could have changed the game if we had considered a goal. It is Desiree Ellis a coach for South Africa and HSA going into the game no just the 9 minutes a car 15 minutes HSA game no ebe na we ya ne sanon Black Queens team no eka mo a ono no obe describe team they say ye a good side name no football is full of uncertainties eti eno so eye nkomo a etimi etodwa na ye de emma na enano oda na Mr Ibrahim Dara ekodi nkomo e wo 3 sports so na openene ekoye koponkomo efa star boy Mohamed Kudu ne transfer ho sensem na Abrante ne yehu se oko A ana oko B ana se oko C no ene Mr Ibrahim Dara ekodi nkomo na oche se Kudus Mohamed pe Abrante no talent na ekro no bibibia edi dance se Kudus na kasa no wo ram ewo any club ewo Europe Abrante no ebetimi start e de ma club crawl enti emfa ho se Bayern Munich for ebaye na Abrante e kan no e de kire omo emfa ho se Chelsea any Tottenham sensem no akwakoye Santa Coaches there what Kudus ni de ono no ojide mapa se any club bia Kudus ebetimi awuram no obe start e de ma omo na ensem a Mr Ibrahim Dara e de to dwanie na okaye kopem se o se Abrante de din e de Bukayo Saka kra no obetimi sini pen se Kudus wo ya de kra chai Abrante no eti sei e na Mr Ibrahim Dara e de to dwa o se there is no team that Kudus will go and be on the bench. Kudus is more talented than Saka. It's Mr. Ibrahim Dara and the HSA Abrante star boy no. In fact, the talent no e wonanim e was so papa. It's eno so yensemo ye di free Kudus akache e de ebro. Yenwa mu e wo Abrante ne din Ibrahim Osman. Na Abrante we na osinaka Edman Nojla Boboko no. Na performance na order ne di wo ho no eno nam so e ma Brighton e koto Abrante no. Abrante be ram e Brighton no ene wantimi awomoden meti omo requirement no e ma Brighton for e de Abrante no e ko loan e wo final Abrante no e ko ye no ene ball no obobo obi akama now so e bra season e ba na wie ye no na ehu behia say Ibrahim Osman sabe returning to Brighton oba ye nim say season e be sha sinka Abrante no benya bia ball e wo Brighton akache na ka we have a few of the Premier League now so breaking news eba according to Fabrizio Romano che say Abrante still Brighton for no enya de say omo ne be ya adwuma next season na omo hwe say omo de Abrante e ko loan a che say loan kra no Uramu as a particular club no, omo agree with Abrante no, and Brighton as say no next season. Abrante ni did Ibrahim Osman no, or kwakobo loan, edama AJ Oze. Timwa Elisha Owusu, any Gideon Mensah Ebo no. Abrante so 8 mi akọ awakoto so, na se ababenya 3 Blasters players. Ewo AJ Oze akache. Na se corner oko loan na okakobo no, wo na omo the clause ahye nchese ne contract ni mu se okono otimi bɔ no homodi yi a ene AJ Ozefo no ebetimi ahwe na omo assign Abrante no na reporter Urban say ne buy option a ehyem no eye 13.8 million pounds 13.8 million pounds a eno so ye de amount etiwe eye latest a kese efi Abrante na kache na ye de ehonsem no e de amount so mi si an ma bisa se Brighton for munim se Abrante no mo ma ne mobia ene moko fa ne fi Northland eye dey because in say Northland no origin deeper which Abrante na o pikiye pa ena moko fa na ba last season mo de na kwakobo loan this season ye hwe so betima sa talk also about game all Brighton na kacha mo say loan no e de akọ French side AJ Oze no kwato so abo ho mo say buy out clause asashim. So I don't see the kind of business Brighton for a year or honum tea. At the comment section, no, Obaso no che wadwene oh edema. Do you think say Adia Brighton for a year? Editia Abrante Ibrahim Osman a year? And I say enye for adwenche eto comment section ho e ma me na enkomo no etimi enkoye. Now ye ni nkomo e wo Partey akache. Na Partey sense 7 makache say August 5th Abrante no obe appear court na wakwakodi enkomo akra e dey allegations ahodo a ya level ediatia no na per reporter eba say 2026 na Abrante no obetimi ewram all court proper na say court ankasa full court etimi atena na asem so eti on the 5th no de e minor one bi na omokwakoye ya anisa eti which is Abrante no abusia ne career no e yakoye something which is there yenko ni nkoti ensem no enchimu wa abra Sky Sports edisa report we e by na Raymond edi rem.
So Nathan, this morning, Sky Sports senior reporter, Rob Dorset, put together an explainer on Thomas Partey. Now, this is what it says. Thomas Partey, the key questions about former Arsenal midfielder charged with 5 counts of rape and 1 count of sexual assault. So, Nathan, when you broke the story yesterday, or when you read the story yesterday, I was shocked.
But the story emerged last Friday.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know.
The story emerged.
I was busy trying to see how could organize things around the president's car.
And plus, we are dealing with other issues.
You see, so
shall I come to fix the things?
Straight. Yeah.
They came to fix the things yesterday.
Only one thing solves every problem. So Nathan, I was shocked. So I tried to look for all sorts of things to understand exactly what was happening. So it is only fair that this morning on the show, we try to get people to understand what that whole Partey being charged with 5 counts of rape and 1 count of sex, what it means. For those who saw the artwork and just thought, oh, that's use of something, or people who have concluded that, oh, he did this or he did that. No, there's an explainer, very well crafted by Rob Dorset. So Nathan, I would get into a few of the questions, the key questions about the former Arsenal midfielder who's been charged with 5 counts of rape and 1 count of sexual assault. So this is what the story says. Thomas Partey has been charged with 5 counts of rape.
And where are you reading this story from?
Sky Sports.
Sky
Football.
Sports. Okay, Sky Sports Football.
Yes,
okay.
This is not my creation.
So that somebody will come and say
that,
no.
Yes, this is not my creation. What is Imota doing there this morning? Does he want to be charged?
No. He wants our listeners to see the story so that there's proof that we are not the ones concocting it.
That is
so that listeners can also find it on our Facebook stream.
So it's a senior reporter, Rob Dorset, Sky Sports. He put this together. Now, Thomas Partey has been charged with 5 counts of rape and 1 count of sexual assault. The offences relating to 3 women are alleged to have taken place in 2021 and 2022. Partey denies the charges. Partey denies the charges. Partey left Arsenal when his contract expired on June 30, 2025. Now, the first question is, what has Partey been accused of? Thomas Partey was charged on 4 July with 4 counts of rape, 1 count of sexual assault against 3 different women. 2 of those counts of rape are against 1 complainant. 3 further counts of rape are against a second complainant. And the sexual assault charge is said to have been committed against a 3rd. All of the incidents are alleged to have taken place between 2021 and 2022. Thomas Partey has denied all of the charges against him. A statement by Partey's lawyer said, quote, Thomas Partey denies all the charges against him. He has fully cooperated with the police and the CPS throughout their 3-year investigation. He now welcomes the opportunity to finally clear his name. Second question, why did it take so long for charges to be brought? Partey was first arrested on suspicion of rape 3 years ago in July 2022.
Okay.
The Metropolitan Police have been carrying out a full investigation since then. Sky Sports News has discovered that the first report on the case was passed from the police to the Crown Prosecution Service on December 27, 2024, 18 months after Partey was initially arrested. Following further investigations, an updated file on the case was lodged with the CPS in April. 2 months after that, Partey was charged. Rape cases are some of the most difficult criminal cases to prosecute, and the CPS will only charge someone if they believe there is a realistic possibility of conviction. When all the evidence is placed before the jury, it was only once the CPS had reviewed the police evidence against Partey in April that they felt this threshold had been reached and there was enough information to charge him with the alleged crimes. 2 months ago, Rape Crisis published statistics that showed that there were 71,227 cases of rape reported to the police in 2024.
Wow.
Charity believes many more assaults go unreported. Conviction rates in England and Wales for rape and sexual assault are among the lowest for any crime. Only 2.7% of these 70,000 plus cases end up with the suspect being charged by the Crown Prosecution Service, the CPS. Investigations into sexual crimes can often be a long and sensitive process. Was it a coincidence that Partey was charged just days after his Arsenal contract expired?
So that's a question. Okay.
Now, timing of the charges, less than a week after his contract at Arsenal expired, has been the subject of intense discussion on social media. There has been no further comment from the Met Police or the CPS, who are prohibited from making any statement once a legal case is active, in quotes, and when it is likely to end up in a court case. But the CPS is importantly independent of the police and makes its charging decisions based only on the basis of evidence it sees. The CPS never alters its timescales to suit a defendant or to fit in with their employment priorities. As soon as the CPS is satisfied that there is realistic prospect of conviction, it will bring forth a charge or set of charges. That is exactly what happened in the case of Partey. The police can accelerate their investigations for a number of reasons, one of which could potentially be because a suspect may have plans to leave the country in future, and they feel it could be difficult to get the individual to return to the UK to face future charges. But there's no suggestion that is the case with Partey. Even though the Ghana International is now free to join any club worldwide following the expiration of his contract. So Nathan, there are times they can accelerate investigations because maybe the suspect could have plans of leaving the country, and they feel they will find difficulties getting the suspect, the individual, to return to UK to face charges. But they are saying that there's no suggestion that is the case with Thomas Partey. Now, the next question is, why couldn't Partey be named before he was charged? So initially, you remember there were rumors that Partey had been arrested.
Yes.
And like you said yesterday,
unconfirmed rumors.
Yes.
And I remember all the stories that came out.
At 29.
Even that, we still can't even tell whether he was the one. But
Right.
the story that came out, they said a 29-year-old Premier League footballer, blah, blah, blah. All the stories kept saying the same thing.
So we're asking again, why couldn't Partey be named before he was charged? Under UK law, the alleged victims of sexual crimes are entitled to lifetime anonymity under the law. They cannot be identified at any stage, even if the person accused is ultimately found not guilty.
The voice of sports.
By contrast, people who are arrested and accused of sexual crimes are not granted anonymity. However, in February 2022, the UK Supreme Court ruled definitely that a person who is under criminal investigation has a reasonable expectation of privacy prior to a charge. Nathan, you get it?
No. Can you go over?
So, in February 2022,
Yes.
the UK Supreme Court ruled definitively that a person who is under criminal investigation has a reasonable expectation of privacy prior to a charge.
Okay.
That led to a huge change in how media reported high-profile individuals who were being investigated by the police for the fear that newspaper or broadcaster might be sued for breaching that individual's privacy. And so, while the accusation against Partey were well known and being discussed openly on social media, Sky Sports News, like other established broadcasters and news organizations, were not able to do so. That led to a bizarre situation where some opposing fans could be heard inside the stadium taunting Partey during Arsenal games with references to his police investigations, even though he could not be named in the media. Once he was charged, the media was allowed to identify Partey at a point without risk of reprisals and report what he has been accused of.
Okay.
So that was how.
Yeah.
Now the next question is, why didn't Arsenal suspend Partey?
Okay.
Why didn't Arsenal suspend Partey? This is a key question, and ultimately, it's a decision only Arsenal can answer. They have not done so yet. As Partey's employer, the club had a duty of care over him and an obligation to treat him fairly. Everyone in this country is considered innocent unless they are proven guilty in the court of law. But the club also had a duty of care over other employees. And sometimes in law, the rights of one party can conflict with the rights of another. Sky Sports News has been told Arsenal did not follow the legal advice they had been given from the time Partey was first arrested, which included making sure adequate. Okay, let me take it again. Sky Sports has been told that Arsenal did follow the legal advice they had been given from the time Partey was first arrested, which included making sure adequate safeguarding procedures were in place to reassure other Arsenal members of staff. You understand that point, Ethan? The legal and moral obligation of an employer when it comes to allegations of sexual crimes against an employee is far from clear-cut. In the case of high-profile individuals, a company, into bracket football club, will weigh up a number of factors before deciding whether to suspend them or not. One of the considerations is the club's reputation. How damaging would it be if a player goes on to be convicted of sexual crime and their club decided not to suspend them until they were legally bound to do so? How would such a decision be viewed by, for example, the club's female fans? The principle of law is that everyone who has been accused of the crime should be treated equally and fairly. Ask yourself this question: if an office worker is arrested on suspicion of rape, should they be treated differently to someone in the public eye, like a pop star or a professional footballer? The law says no, everyone should be treated same. But for a football club, the decision whether or not to suspend a player is a much more complicated decision. Manchester City decided to suspend Benjamin Mendy without pay when he was charged with multiple counts of sexual assault in 2021. Mendy subsequently acquitted of all those charges against him in July 2023, and then Mendy was acquitted, and then took City to an employment tribunal. Mendy ultimately won 11 million in damages from the club to cover his lost wages for 2 years while he was suspended. If Arsenal had decided to suspend Partey when he was first arrested in 2022, and if he goes on to be convicted of no crime, the North London club could have faced huge legal bail stretching into tens of millions of pounds. Okay. So the decision to suspend Partey or not was a decision the club had to make, with possible consequences if the man is cleared.
And then if the man is declared guilty.
You understand?
So either way, there were consequences.
Right.
So if they suspend Partey, it comes out that Partey is free, they'll have to pay him a backlog.
Yes.
Suspending him, all of those things. He didn't do anything. Why did you suspend him? Legal fees, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Now they played him during the set period, per what we know.
Yes.
So if it turns out he's actually broken the law, then Arsenal will now face consequences for playing somebody or employing somebody.
So reputational damage.
Reputational damage, yes.
Yes. Now they ask again, why did Arsenal open contract renewal talks with Partey? That is a question.
Yes. On the explainer.
Yes, on the explainer.
Okay.
On the explainer.
Yes.
Sky Sports News reported in April that Arsenal had opened talks with Partey on a new contract. When asked if he wanted Partey to stay at Arsenal ahead of Arsenal's final game of the season in May, Mikel Arteta said yes, he's a really important player for us. And in early June, when Arsenal announced their retained list, the club confirmed they were still in talks with Partey over a possible new deal.
Yes.
There has been no comment from Arsenal on why they were negotiating with Partey while he was still under criminal investigation. And finally, what have Arsenal said since Partey was charged? Now that Partey has been charged, there is very little that Arsenal can publicly say. An Arsenal spokesperson said the player's contract ended on June 30 due to ongoing legal proceedings. The club is unable to comment on the case. The Football Association and the Premier League declined to comment. Detective Superintendent Andy Fairfie, who is leading the investigation for the Met Police, said, "Our priority remains providing support to women who have come forward." Quote, "We would ask anyone who has been impacted by this case or anyone who has information to speak with our team, who has any information to speak with our team. You can contact detectives about the investigation by emailing cit@met.police.uk. That is what they said. What happens next? Partey is scheduled to appear at the Westminster Magistrate Court on Tuesday, August 5, to answer to 6 charges against him. It will probably be 2026 before the case could be heard in a full court trial.
Okay.
In the meantime, the 32-year-old is free to continue his playing career. If he can find a new club that wants to sign him on free transfer. But any future employer will also know he has been charged with 6 counts of rape and sexual assault.
Okay.
Any future employer will also know he has been charged with 6 counts of rape and sexual assault. And he's still free to find a club. But that new employer would know of these charges. So Nathan, this is the explainer, Mr. Thomas Partey.
Thank you. I think that explainer touches on everything. All the possible questions somebody may have, that explainer touches on that. And that explainer is on Sky Sports Football. We were sharing that on our stream as well. So I don't know if I don't know, maybe we might drop the link, but it was on our stream as well. There were screenshots, so people will know that we were not concocting things It's important so that listeners will not say, "Oh, Sporty FM said it." No, it was Sky Sports UK who said it. The matter didn't happen in Ghana. No. The said incidents did not happen here, so we don't have the power to yeah. So what we can do is to read this explainer to you.
Yeah. So now, Nathan, it leaves us with two very important questions.
Okay. Ask those questions and then I can go to them.
Where does Partey go from here? How does this allegation impact his next move?
Mm-hmm.
Which club, which employer will be willing to carry on this baggage?
Mm-hmm.
This baggage in quotes. And then you again ask, he's a very important figure of our senior national team, the Black Stars. So, are we also concerned about these allegations? The FA, Coach Otoado, again, would have to make a decision as to where they stand on this matter. Or if, in future, based on all of these lingering legal issues, he still has a place in the national team. So these are areas that this allegation has sent us.
Of course,
and we have to brainstorm around it. We have to figure out what the best way would be.
Okay,
especially with the national team collapse and where he goes from here.
All right, was also and seven and only be a would say yano any baby I will be ano not watch your watching or comment section what Eddie Mammy meeting at the Kobe and now bet my friend Kobe finest all the Kikeleke fans, all the something which is the fans Obi Bia or supporting sports link Ghana no. The entire a more day and more do at the mount meeting at the Kobe and I'll bet my friend Kobe finest is Abishia.